Good evening. Good evening. All right. My name is James Elmore III. I'm the Associate Provost of Diversity and Inclusion, also the Director of the Todd Anthony Bell National Resource Center on the African American Male. I bring greetings on behalf of the Vice Provost. Unfortunately, she cannot make it today, but it's still going to be a momentous occasion. This event is always one of the highlights of the year. It's a time of reflecting, reconnecting, and more importantly, recognizing the stellar accomplishments of our beloved students, as well as acknowledging those individuals who have went beyond the call of duty to support our students, those on this campus, and beyond. Here at the Bell National Resource Center, the expectations are extremely high. The staff and I expect that our young men will excel academically and will serve as role models for other young men and women. With this in mind, I'm pleased to announce that we now have a total of 473 African American males with a cumulative 3.0 or better GPA. An increase of 223 students from 2006. I would argue that you would be hard-pressed to find any institution across America with these kinds of numbers. I would argue that today is a day that we want to recognize our families for supporting our young men. So let's give our parents a round of applause. At this time, we're going to proceed, and so I look forward to getting to know everyone.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, it's much better. I know that we didn't make it to the Final Four, had some high hopes for this season, but this is still a glorious occasion. And definitely one of my most favorite programs of the year. I have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker for tonight, Mr. Steve Davis. Mr. Steve Davis serves as chairman of the board and chief executive officer of Bob Evans Farms, Incorporated. Before joining the company in 2006, Davis worked at Yum Brands Incorporated, where he had been president of Long John Silver's and A&W All-American Food Restaurants since 2002. Previously, Davis served in a variety of operation management and other executive positions in Yum Brands. Pizza Hut division, including senior vice president of concept development, where his team introduced the Wing Streak concept. So whenever you think of or you hear of Wing Streak now from Pizza Hut, you should think of Mr. Davis. Before joining Pizza Hut in 1993, he was with Kraft General Foods for 9 years. His last position with Kraft was director of marketing for All American Gourmet. Earlier in his career, he held a series of brand management positions in Kraft's cheese business, where he launched several successful new products and marketing campaigns for household brands such as Philadelphia brand cream cheese, Cheese Whiz, and Velveeta, to name a few. In July of 2001, Davis was appointed to the board of Jobs Ohio, Ohio's new private nonprofit corporation that will lead Ohio's job creation and economic development activities. Davis also serves as a board member of the Arthur G. James Cancer Hospital and Richard J. Solove Research Institute Foundation. He is a member of the Columbus Partnership and Compete Columbus, two organizations focused on economic development strategy for the region. He is also a member of the Ohio Business Roundtable and the National Council of Chain Restaurants. He served as 2000 chair for Operation Feed, which provides food for needy families in central Ohio. Recently, he was elected to serve as the co-chair of the Ohio State University Medical Center fundraising campaign. Davis is an alumnus of Inroads Incorporated, a not-for-profit organization that aims to develop and place talented minority youth in business and industry, and to prepare them for corporate and community leadership. Are there any Inroads students in the audience? So we got at least one or a couple people. So round of applause. Excellent organization. He was honored with the first Inroads National Leadership Award in March 2011. In 2012, he was honored by the African American and African Studies Community Extension Center at The Ohio State University with the William E. Nelson Community Warrior Award for business for his efforts in advancing the role of African Americans in Columbus. He served as chairman of the board of Summer Bridge Louisville Educational Assistance Program from 2003 to 2006, and was a board member of Turner 12, an organization that provides assistance to lower-income children to attend college in Dallas from 2000 to 2003. Black Enterprise Magazine in 2005 named Davis as one of the 75 most powerful Black men in American business, and in 2010, he graced the cover of Who's Who in Black Columbus. Mr. Stephen Davis holds a Master's of Business Administration in Marketing and Finance from the University of Chicago and a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee. In 2007, Rio Grande University awarded him an honorary doctorate degree in public service. Please give Mr. Steve Davis a round of applause.
How y'all doing this evening? Good, good, good. Hey, I heard some news about a series of students having a 3.0 or better, and the applause sounded like a golf clap. Now, I'm telling you, I know that there's some parents out here ready to just jump out of their chair when they heard that, all of these kids are doing great things and getting that kind of academic achievement. So I'd like you to try that again, and I want you to really show the appreciation for these young men for their time. So come on over here and do that again and announce the number of people with 3.0 averages, because I think that's pretty spectacular.
This year we have a total of 473 African American males with a cumulative 3.0 or better.
Well done. It's really my privilege to be here because, for a couple reasons. One, my friend Gene Smith is sitting in the back of the room, and as I was listening to him read about all the stuff I'm doing at Ohio State, he said, we're going to get this badger out of this boy, okay? This Wisconsin guy, we're going to get that badger out of him. So clearly Gene's, mentorship, tutelage, and I like to come to games, so, I just want to make sure I keep my relationship going with Gene. You may be aware of this, but Gordon Gee is on our board, and so is Cheryl Kruger. How many of you have had Cheryl's cookies? Yeah, they're going good cookies. She's on our board, so we've got a great relationship with the Ohio State University. But when I first heard about the Todd Bell Resource Center, I was like, wow, I wish they had something like this when I was back in college. Because I just remember a lot of young brothers who got to college, but it was the first time they were in a large urban environment. It was the first time they were away from home. Some guys were bold enough to pledge their first week when they got on campus. And that's a huge commitment. And so they didn't have somebody or a place you could go to say, how do I get out of school in 4 years? Or tell me about my choices in life. Or what are some of the role models? Or who are some of the people that I should emulate so I can be successful? So I just want to congratulate the Ohio State University for having the vision and the wisdom and the commitment to making sure that our young black men are getting the opportunities that they deserve. So let's give the Todd Bell Resource Center a round of applause. It really is a pleasure to be here tonight in the presence of all of you to witness the achievements and successes, not only today, but also in the future. I'm the kind of person that draws energy from these types of situations. You heard that over the years I've been involved with different organizations. And one organization in Dallas, Texas, called the Turner 12, was designed to go to the projects of South Dallas and recruit children in the 7th and 8th grade and prepare them for college. And they had a simple saying: what they see is what they will be. And so all you had to do is take children who were in some of the toughest economic situations, some of the toughest environments that you and I have ever seen or maybe lived in, and all of these children wound up getting into four-year colleges. What was the difference? They believed. And there was a group that was committed to their success. And you have those same ingredients here. So that's why I'm fired up about all the good work that you are doing here at The Ohio State University. So Gene, let me show you what I can do. OH! OH! Do I pass? Okay, I got it, thank you. You know, whenever I'm on a university campus, it kind of takes me back to when I was at the University of Chicago, and it gives me a chance to really reflect on where I am today. And I always come back to two things. One is the importance of goal setting, and the second is the importance of mentors. Relationships are really everything in life, and if there's one piece of advice I'd like to leave with you, it's to build and nurture the relationships in your life. Now, one relationship I nurtured early on in my career, and that's why I was cheering for Inroads. I'm an Inroads intern. I was an Inroads alum, and I'm a proud alumnus of the Inroads program. Inroads is one of the nation's top diverse internship programs, and it really made a difference in my life, but it took some work on my part. Unlike maybe some of you in high school who excelled and achieved, coming out of high school, out of 165 students, I graduated 62nd with a cumulative GPA of 2.75. Now, how many of you, just think about that for a second. How many of you, if I told them back then, I'm going to be a CEO of a major corporation, what kind of response do you think I would have gotten? Yeah, right. Well, I applied for Inroads, but guess what? They rejected me. I was devastated because I said, wow, I want to go into business. They have internships. I've never worked in a major corporation. I had uncles and I had a brother and some other folks who were in corporate America, but I wanted that opportunity. And there was a man at Inroads, his name was Lorenzo Tovar. He told me that I didn't have what it took to get into what they called their talent pool. And that's where they select the students to go interview for the jobs. So I took that disappointing news and I thanked him for it. But what I did is I sat down and set some goals for myself and put my nose to the grindstone about achieving them. So a couple years later in college, I made the dean's list and achieved a 3.5 GPA in my business school classes. This time I got a phone call, and guess who it was from? It was from Inroads and Lorenzo Tovar, the same man that rejected me. And he called me and he told me he had been keeping track of my academic progress. So clearly he saw something that maybe I didn't even see in myself. I became an Inroads intern at Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, and I came across a gentleman, and his name was Will Reimer. Will became my first mentor. You know, I still know Will. Will's 86 years old. We stay in touch. And Will calls us the odd couple, because he's like, look, I'm older than your father. I'm a white man from the suburbs. What do you and I have in common? And we kind of laugh about it and said, well, we have a fondness for each other. Somehow we connected, and he almost adopted me like one of his sons. He wrote my letter of recommendation for business school. He attended my graduation. He even attended my wedding. He was influential in teaching me about business and setting goals for myself, and I'm happy to say that Will is still one of my dear friends. His genuine interest in me, his belief, and his generosity of his time and self inspired me to go and mentor others. From him, I learned that you have to model yourself after those who you want to become. Another key mentor was Professor Schaefer, my statistics professor. He took an interest in me and my love for quantitative analysis. He was kind enough to author my letter of recommendation to the University of Chicago, as did Will, and as did Lorenzo Tovar. During my undergraduate internship experience, I was exposed to talented, intelligent professionals who all had masters in business administration. Now, when I first got to college, I'm thinking, I'm 4 and done. Okay, I'm gonna get my degree and I'm gonna go out and get a job and I'm gonna make some money. But as I kept talking to people who had their MBAs, I noticed a difference in how they acted, how they carried themselves, their career trajectory. They encouraged me to start thinking about pursuing an advanced degree. And one person encouraged me to apply to the University of Chicago. My first reaction was, that's a tough school to get into. Cliff's reply was, you'll never get in if you don't apply. Will was encouraging in that as well, as were my parents. Now, while setting my sights on that new goal, I was beginning to realize you got to set your goals high. Don't set goals that you think you can achieve. Set the goals that you think aren't possible, and then proceed to go after it. When I had to draft my business school applications, one of the questions they ask you is, where are you going to be in 10 years, and where will you be in 20 years? So on my application, I wrote in 10 years to be a Fortune 500 vice president, and 20 years be the president of a division of a Fortune 500 company. Well, two things I'd like to share with you. After graduation, you're happy, you got your parchment, you're ready to move on. I'm moving out of my apartment. I find an old box of papers. And in there was the application for the University of Chicago. And something told me, read it. I almost tossed out the application because I said to myself, what I wrote down, was I serious about that, or was that just a way for me to get into business school? I then proceeded to think about what are the skills necessary to be a vice president and be a president. Then somebody gave me some great advice. Master 2 areas of expertise and be proficient at least in one other. I started my career in marketing at Kraft General Foods, later joining Pizza Hut as a senior operations designate. So over my career, I tried to master marketing and I tried to master operations. And I've also had P&L experience, so I became proficient in learning a profit and loss statement. I was working my plan, and I was engaging mentors all along the way. Another influential mentor in my life is a gentleman by the name of Barry Lathan, a successful African-American executive who at the time was working at Xerox. He had been an advisor for my career since 1992, and anytime I came into a tough situation, I'd pick up the phone and call Barry. So I wanted to give Barry some good news. When I was promoted to senior vice president of Pizza Hut, Barry congratulated me, but the first thing that came out of his mouth is, okay, so what's next? And I said, what do you mean what's next? And he says, well, you need to be